Disclaimer, I will not be discussing Visipop or any of the dramas she has been a part of. This is solely about the writing of the show and the character. Do not go and harass people, that's my job. For legal reasons, that's a joke. Let's all have a fair, passionate discussion about this. Nothing below the belt. Before we fully start this video, I just want to make something perfectly clear that I am for hating all these characters equally. We don't have time for love and tolerance over here. Except you, Octavia, baby girl, you have done nothing wrong. You can sit over here. Are you comfortable? Yeah? Need a snack? No? You're good? Okay, good. Here, you can sit next to Princess Luna. Hey guys, you all remember in my last video, Stella's You Stupid Bird, I said in it I was going to do a video on Stella's defense. I highly recommend you watch that first video before you continue on with this one since it all ties in together. Now, this is a very controversial character, and I know that for several reasons. I'm sure anybody who has ever been on any internet forum has seen the hatred she has gotten. And I'm not going to dunk on them saying they're not completely undeserved. I mean, heck, she used an imp as a throwing rock against Stollis. She's definitely ain't no angel. But let's go ahead and get to who she is and what she does. Now, this is my understanding of her genetic material and the world building in Helluva Boss. If I end up being wrong, just say so in the comments. Don't ever be afraid to educate me on something. Stella is a goetic demon, but also an avian. An avian and the archgoetia are not the same thing. An avian is basically a demon who is bird-like. Meanwhile, an archgoetia is from the book called The Lesser Key of Solomon that lists 72 demons, Stollis being one of them. Of course, here's your obligatory spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the show already, I highly recommend you do so if you don't want it ruined for you. And if you don't want to go watch the show, I mean, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna kick you out. You can stay if you want, get yourself a snack and enjoy the show. I know this video won't be too long since we don't see much of Stella's point of view and her side of the story, so for a lot of this is just me trying to piece everything together. Just remember, this video is going to be a lot of speculation, so just bear with me and maybe some of you guys will enjoy my theories. We don't know Stella's exact age, so let's just hope that she's either the same age as Stollis and not any younger. She was betrothed to Stollis around 10 to 12. They did this so Stollis can have a precautionary heir in the event he dies, and his daughter Octavia can take the role in being one of the 72 demons. Now, since we don't know her exact age, we can't say exactly when she had Octavia, so I'm just going to at least hope it was about 18 or 19, which is pretty unfortunate for her because she's marrying somebody who is homosexual. So there is no way they're going to fully love her in the way she would want, which is a pretty shitty deal for everybody involved. I remember there was this line from season 2, The Circus. This is when she was throwing that not divorce party. Stella says, "He just lays there staring at the wall and I have to do everything." And I find that really sad. I know that they were going for, oh, she's a bitch, which granted she is, but I'm sorry, just imagine that you're not even in your 20s and you're forced into this arranged marriage with this man you barely know and he's not willing to help you. I'm sure Stollis helped in other categories. For example, season 1 Lululand, we see him help put Octavia back to bed, but just think about what she had to do to get pregnant and to fulfill their duties. That's just heartbreaking to think about. And the fact that Stollis wasn't supportive of her efforts is just, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Now, I'm not saying he's in the complete wrong for that, but still. I know what the writers were going for, but seeing her grab 2 cups of wine and then telling her friends, oh, it's okay, try and laugh it off, personally, I just got a completely different message. Just imagine being forced into a marriage and they're like, all right, go jump on them, and that's just hard for everybody involved. I feel like her story gets often put on the back burner to make Stollis more of the victim, even though they clearly both are. I feel like we're missing a very important part to this marriage. And you know the old saying, there's 2 sides to every story, and so far we're only seeing one. It seems like Viv wants to make Stella a villain, which is fine, that's completely fine, but if you're going to make her a villain, especially after everything that has happened to her, she's going to have to be a sympathetic villain. You can't just say, oh, she's 100% the bad guy when she clearly isn't. She has justification to feel wrong. She has justification to feel upset and maybe to do a few questionable actions. She has definitely been wronged by society and was made into a broodmare. It doesn't matter how lavishly she lives her life, a cage is still a cage. I know near the end of season 2, The Circus, Stollis claims to have tried to make it comfortable for them, but did you really? did you really try? I do believe he tried for Octavia before, Blitzo came into the picture, but not for Stella. Before I continue my speculation, I want to bring up the fact that maybe during their marriage, she may have not been aware of his sexuality. I'm not sure how much that changes for you guys, but consider this, that she is forced into this marriage, and this man is showing her no attraction whatsoever. And I can see how that can be a bit of a blow to somebody's confidence, and maybe even feel a bit unwanted. Due to this fact, it made me come up with my own personal headcanon on her brother, Andreophis, and his compliments towards her, and maybe why he does it. I know there's a theory going around that he does it to hide his own homosexuality, but that makes no sense because one of the most important figures, Lucifer, his daughter, has a girlfriend. And I haven't seen any of the Archiguisha having a problem with that. And even with Stolus, from at least if memory serves me correctly, no one's really having a problem with that. It's just the fact that he did it with somebody of a lower class, an imp. So it just kind of makes me wonder if he does it to try and lift up her confidence, even if sometimes he can be a bit questionable in the way he does it, but that's just a little headcanon of mine. Let's go ahead and focus on when we actually see poor behavior on Stella's end, and that is the beginning of Lululand. She's basically wreaking havoc, throwing vases, screaming about Stella's infidelity, and even threw a servant at him. Now, I want to ask you guys a question. Would somebody do that if they weren't hurt by somebody else's actions? Because at the end of the episode in the circus, Stolus claims, oh, he didn't hurt her, but her actions scream otherwise. And let's just say it's from her own pride and ego, and it's nothing from the heart. And how else is she supposed to feel? Like, realistically, how else is she supposed to feel? Stolus feels more like a mouthpiece for the author to tell the audience directly Stella's not hurt, even though that makes no sense. Let's really take a look at this. He embarrassed her in front of her friends when his lover, Blitzo, fell the balcony onto her food, naked, private showing, and all splashing food onto her, and him saying, sorry, I fucked your husband. Now, granted, you could make the argument, well, that's not his fault because Blitzo's actions is his own. Yes, but Blitz shouldn't have been there to begin with. You're gonna be the talk of the town after that. That's so embarrassing. And possibly finding out that he's gay explains a lack of attraction and physical affection. Some may make the argument that she had this coming due to throwing the not divorce party, but this might just be a personal opinion of mine, but on a moral scale, when it comes to cheating, I believe that's way worse than Stella's party. Stolus had a choice on not going to that party. Still not right, but I don't know why he went. And also, a naked imp falling on your croissant in front of the croissant? Ooh! I didn't ask for that. And of course, we need to talk about the physical violence. I did not forget about that, and I'm sure everybody's been waiting for me to talk on it. So she did try to strike him, and that most definitely cannot be overlooked. Now, some may make the argument that if you cheat on somebody, you deserve to be striked, but personally, I cannot justify violence like that, because once you start it, you don't know when it's going to end and how it's going to end. There are other means to get justice. For example, getting a divorce or simple humiliation. You can't just be trying to hit somebody, and you can't be throwing stuff at somebody. Even if the moment it feels good and probably really justified, you can't be doing that. Especially with your child in the house. You don't want them to think that is acceptable behavior. Congratulations, Stella. That's the amazing role model right there, am I right? Speaking of children, let's talk a little bit about Octavia, because this isn't just about Stella's feelings on the matter. This also concerns Octavia, her only child's safety. And I want to remind everybody, Stolus let Blitzo steal the book. A very important and probably dangerous book, might I add, just to have a romp in the bed, and also putting his job and title at risk. You're basically risking your livelihood, a livelihood that you used to support your daughter with. Think about it. Stolus let an imp into his home that he barely knew nothing about. Do you not see the problem with this? And sorry. I gotta cool off. I don't like it when fans say that they were childhood friends. No, they weren't. No. They didn't even know each other for 24 hours. They are not childhood friends. Pause. While I'm editing this, looking back on it, Stolus, at least from his point of view, he probably saw them as childhood best friends since he probably grew up pretty lonely. but realistically, by definition, they're not. He didn't even know Blitzo was a hitman with an extensive rap sheet. Another pause, I just realized I said Stolas let an imp into his house. To clarify, it's not about Blitzo being an imp, it's about him being a stranger. That was the Stella in me talking. Imagine me saying Stolas let a black. And let's say that they were childhood best friends. Stolas hasn't seen him in over, 20 years? And you have no idea what the type of person he turned out to be or what he can do. You had fun together and then fell asleep, and you have no idea what he could have done in that time frame while you were sleeping. If I was a mother, I would lose my mind on him. She has done wrong. For example, she didn't let Octavia talk to Stolas when he tried to call her at the season 2 finale when she took away her phone. And that's simply not okay. That's called parental alienation for a reason. She also didn't take the time to check up on Octavia when her daughter was clearly going through it. I want to point out that we don't fully know the relationship between Octavia and Stella since we don't really see them fully interact. Hopefully, however, I will make the assumption that their relationship can't be too bad since at the end of season 2 in the finale, Octavia did choose to go with her mother and not Stolas. So if they were having a really poor relationship, I don't see why Octavia would go with her. Take that information for what you will, but I'm a little split since we haven't seen enough screen time of the both of them together. So let's go ahead and talk about the worst thing I believe she's done, and that's when she hired the hitman Striker 2 times to kill her husband. The first time in season 1, the Harvest Moon Festival, and the second time in season 2, Western Energy. I understand Stolas wronged you, but you can't hire somebody to kill him. Like, goddamn. Like, holy shit, calm down. Don't get me wrong, he's dumb. He's absolutely an idiot, but he's still the father of your child. Go take an aspirin or something. I don't believe that this should cost him his life. The whole hitman situation was insane. And she did it 2 times too, not once, but twice. And you know, she's probably gonna do it a 3rd time because she's that level of petty. I know the most popular counter argument is going to be that Stella doesn't care about Octavia, she doesn't love Stolas, and she only cares about herself. And you know what? Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. You didn't expect that, did you? With this level of writing in the show, it would not surprise me at all. She kind of reminds me of one of those villains that twirls her mustache with the evil laugh. She doesn't really seem to have a lot of depth going on, and I won't be surprised if the show never mentions the very real points I've stated earlier. That could be for a numerous of reasons. Maybe they're too focused on the main couple and not the dynamics in the back, or they simply really like this idea of her. Who knows? But I feel like this character has not been taken too seriously, and for me, it's making her feel like I'm tasting cardboard instead of the actual macaroni. I guarantee you by season 3, she's still going to be that mustache twirling cardboard villain. And if by some miracle we actually get her side of the story and get more depth from her, thank you. T to the U. Thank you. Most of my points that have been stated probably won't matter because they're not actually what her character actually is and is never going to be expanded on, even though that would make her character 1,000 times more interesting. Like, I'm fully aware of that, guys. I feel like for most of the Helluva Boss characters, I don't love them for what they currently are, but what they could be. Honestly, though, when I look at stuff like this, it really inspires me to make my own project, because it's easy to sit here and judge somebody else's work when you yourself haven't been judged or put out your own stuff. And honestly, I have my own ideas, my own projects, but you actually have to put elbow grease into it. Speaking of elbow grease, I'm thinking about doing a few other videos I think you guys will be interested in. For example, doing a redesign of Stolas, Stella, and Octavia, because I won't lie, I have beef with their character designs. I'm not saying all their character designs are bad. For example, I like Blitzo's, Millie's, and Luna's character design. I'm not a big fan of Moxie's though. I think it's because it's too similar to Blitzo's. And when I do a video on this, it won't be in the cartoon style because for whatever reason, it's my kryptonite. I can't draw in cartoon style. Maybe I'll do a video on Octavia, but I might not have much to say on her since we're so focused on the main couple of the series. So it might just be a very short video. But let me know if you guys want me to do that and I will. Or maybe maybe you have a different character you would like me to cover. This video, just a friendly reminder not to get too crazy in the comments. Even if you don't like the show and it's a love-hate relationship, or maybe it's just pure hatred, it's no excuse to start attacking somebody else for liking it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you don't, this will show up in your dreams. Toodles!